Speaking about a very sad situation, but these are issues that need to be aired for the international community to know exactly what the facts are regarding not only the death of Shireen Abu Akleh, but all of the other atrocities that's playing out in your part of the world, and that is the occupied territories in Palestine. What is the latest news that we have regarding the killing of journalist Shireen Abu Akleh?
Yeah, well, thanks firstly for having me. Indeed, we said that from the very beginning, after killing Shireen Abu Akleh, we said that it was killed and murdered by Israeli occupation fire. And the evidence and everybody who witnessed the incident say that because it was so clearly. But because the Israeli occupation has never admit their crimes, so they try to run away with their crimes and saying that they are not responsible for her killing. But finally, the UN investigations find that she was killed by Israeli pilot, and this is so clear now to everyone. But I'm really sure that they are not going to punish Israel or do anything regarding the killing of her. And now everything is clear. Got killed. She got killed by occupation fire. So they have to punish Israel for this. They have to uh, to send her file to the ICC and then stop the Israeli occupation soldier who killed her. But I'm really sure that they are not going to do anything regarding this because this is not the first crime to be committed by the occupation forces. Like since the occupation of Palestine, we have thousands and tens of thousands of crimes, and it was so clear that Israel commit so many massacres, so many ethnic cleansing, so many crimes against the humanity, against the Palestinian children, women, and everybody here in whole Palestine. And it was really so clear and so obvious to everybody. But nobody stopped the Israeli crimes, and every day they commit more crimes every single day. They just do and control everything and commit more crimes every single day without anybody stopping them.
Wafa, you have indicated very clearly that the United Nations have managed to gather very solid evidence suggesting and showing that the bullets that killed Shireen Abu Akleh uh, indeed was fired by the Israeli forces. You're also saying, and I think as the rest of the world knows, sadly, that the Israelis will not be held or brought to account for it because they seem to be a law unto themselves, with the backing, obviously, of the Americans. Um, and you mentioned something about the ICC. What chances are there of this particular case? We know there's been hundreds and thousands of other atrocities against the Palestinian people, which will never see the light of day in a court of law. But what are the chances of this particular case landing up at the ICC?
Yeah, actually, because Al Jazeera team, they just allocate a team from them to present this case to the ICC. So we hope that they can do something and they can just put pressure on the whole world and the international community and even in the ICC, and then hold Israel accountability for killing Shireen. We hope so. So our only hope that maybe because she is a veteran journalist and she is a well-known person and also Al Jazeera as well. So maybe this thing will make difference to the whole world, and then maybe they are going to hold Israel accountability. But we are just disappointed. We as Palestinians, we feel disappointed from the whole world and especially the ICC because so many cases are in the ICC and they have never. And once I guess, yeah, I just remember that, yeah, once they just said that Israel commit these crimes, but nothing happened and no one was, presented to the ICC or even hold accountability for these crimes. So we hope that this time they are going to make difference, and they are going to stop the Israeli crimes. And I hope that this is going to be the last crime that they are committing against Palestinians.
Inshallah, we make lots of dua that possibly this might uh, allow the Israeli occupiers to rethink their position. But I think that is hoping and asking for way too much, because they are what they are. They are occupiers, they're ruthless. It seems like they would do anything at all in their power, even killing and arresting innocent little children under the age of 10. And it also seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong here, Wafa, but it seems that their efforts, the Israeli occupied, it seems to be stepping up, and they're doing everything in their power to just make life that much harder for the Palestinian people.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what they are doing for the Palestinian people. They are trying by all means in order to let the people hate living here in Palestine, hate living in their homes, and then they immigrate outside Palestine, and then Palestine is only for the Jewish people. So, like if you just, follow the news here in whole Palestine, not only in Gaza or West Bank, and even in occupied Jerusalem, and even inside Israel for the Palestinian, for the 1948 Palestinians inside Israel. Everybody suffer from this occupation, from their discrimination, from their oppression, from their degradation against them. But indeed, the people here are trying by all means to survive. Like here, for example, here in Gaza, the people, the Israeli occupation, they just impose unfair siege since nearly 15 years so far. And I'm just telling you that 15 years, nobody in this world can, bear such conditions, such draconian condition. It's really a disastrous situation here. But the people, because they love their country, they are just dedicated to live here, and they believe in their right, and they believe that this land is theirs and their ancestors' land. So that's why they are fighting by all means to survive in this life. And whenever there is anything from the occupation, missing from the occupation, they are trying to find alternatives, and then they can, just keep going in this life. And even for the people in the West Bank, actually, they indeed suffer. Like every day, every single day, the occupation, they just invade towns, invade villages while the people are just sleeping and enjoying their life. They just invade the towns and their homes, and then detain, and they don't differentiate between women, children, or even youth or elderly. They just arrest anyone who can they find, just to provoke the Palestinians. And indeed, not only the Israeli forces who are committing these brutalities. Indeed, the Israeli settlers in the West Bank, they are guarded by the occupation forces, and every day they just burn or raise the Palestinian trees. They are trying to raise or burn the Palestinian homes, and they are trying to provoke the Palestinians who are nearby to their settlements in order to let them hate being lived there in West Bank nearby to their settlements, and then they can just go out and give up this life, and maybe get out of Palestine. And
A-
for the people of Jerusalem, actually there is flag that they are just exposed or subject to all kind of oppression and discrimination. And even talking, for example, like if they want to raise the Palestinian flag, then they are going to be arrested by the occupation forces. And even, like when I'm telling you about the kids, they are not allowed to play in the streets because they are going to be maybe detained by the occupation forces, or maybe they are going to be assaulted or harassed by the occupation by the Israeli settlers. They sometimes, like just yesterday, I heard or we saw, according to local sources, that a Palestinian kids who's aged 9 years old, he got detained by the occupation soldiers, but because he was just throwing a stone to an Israeli settler who was walking beside him. Like a kid, 9 years old. It's really unfair, and like in the Israeli law, they just allow to detain kids who aged from 9 to 12. So I just know, like, recently a Palestinian youth, he's youth now, he's got released recently. When he was jailed by the occupation forces, he was only 12 years old, and then he got released after 7 years in the Israeli jails. So all of these years he just spent in the occupation prison, and then now he is a man. Yeah, he getting out from the prison when he is a man. So you can imagine. I'm just telling you just one example of one of millions of
I'm
stories
sure.
that need actually
Absolutely.
our.
Ab- Absolutely. One can't even begin to imagine what life must be like for the Palestinian people under this occupation. And I kind of wonder about the Zionist conscience. How do they even go to bed at night knowing that they are abusing every possible right of humankind? And I kind of wonder, do they have a God that they pray to if this is the way they behave to their fellow human beings? So that is another a subject for another interview. Wafa, we do know that Al Jazeera is an internationally recognized TV media operation, and they will do everything in their power to keep the story alive and to ask and to make sure that justice is done as far as the murdering of Shireen is concerned. But what else can the rest of the international community be doing to keep alive Shireen's story and the plight of the rest of the Palestinians?
Yeah, actually, yeah, what Al Jazeera is doing is really great thing. They have to make this case alive because the occupation must hold accountability for this. But indeed, the international community also should act and put a pressure on those people in order to stop their crimes, because Al Jazeera alone is not going to make like that big to stop that. So they need the international community to stand beside them, to put the pressure on those in the ICC and others in order to hold Israel accountability and stop these crimes. So that everybody, they have to work together, to stand beside each other in order to because like unity is needed in this case. No one by himself or herself can do anything without others interference. I mean, like, they have to work together in this case in order to reach to the justice that they are asking for.
Wafa, that's where we'll have to leave it. Always nice talking with you. Our duas and support with you and the rest of the Palestinian people. We will never forget you. We here at Salam Media and South Africa, inshallah, will always be in touch and we'll always bring your stories to the attention of the South Africans and the international community. Go well, keep safe. Salam alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam. Thank you so much. Thank you. We
The
do
time is
appreciate your effort. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. 8:27 exactly, standing by to talk with us is Dr. Qureisha Suleiman about the shutting down of the Jamaat Khana at the Prince of campus that's at the University of Pretoria. Stay with us.